Hi, my name is Jodie Wilcock. I'm the Chief Assurance Officer at Selectability, and I've had the pleasure of working here for the last 2 years. Townsville born and bred. I studied in Townsville, so at JCU. So JCU graduate. I spent the larger majority of my working life in public practice, so provision of professional consultancy services, mostly audit and assurance work. And then I've also spent about 6 years in public health services as the head of internal audit. I intended to be in public practice for mid-tier firms, top 4 firms for my working life. That's where I saw the start and end to my working career. And it's a very fast-paced industry, listed entity. Basically, my turning point was falling pregnant and trying to work out how do I balance career, children. My mum fell ill, and it kind of created a bit of a fork in the road to go, is this how I want to spend the rest of my working years? And it was hard work. There's no doubt about that. And every role I've been in has been hard work, but there was definitely a point where I thought I need to think about a different way. So I spent a long time during my working life as well working with community organisations, mostly that do not-for-profit or charitable work for supporting women. So for example, advocacy for women's legal services, so for families in domestic violence situations. So I spent a really long time of my working life doing pro bono work with community organisations such as that. The role popped up at Selectability, and it was within my skill set, of course, but at the same time, it kind of sparked my interest because it was such a community-focused and advocacy-focused organisation. I think everyone can, to some degree, hard relate to some form of mental health experience, whether it's your own lived experience, and I have that myself, or whether it's a family member, close friend, or what have you. It's an easy area to want to dedicate your time to, I guess. I've got a really small team, a very talented team, and I look after a variety of portfolios that spread from providing advice, support to our Board of Governance, so our Board of Directors, supporting whole of governance across the organisation, so good exchange of information up, down throughout the organisation, frameworks in place for good decision making, look after enterprise risk. So there's a lot of different moving parts, and within the portfolio we also support kind of care governance practices, so monitoring all the care delivery practices that we have across the organisation, making sure we're providing safe care and we've got good systems and processes in place for quality care. We don't necessarily have direct connection always with our workforce that supports delivery of care. At the same time, so you can get a little bit caught in that back end piece, and there's a bit of separation between the systems, the processes, the frameworks that we're creating, and then are they benefiting on the ground? Are they helping the workforce do their best role and be their best person and support the people that we support, but also is that providing better quality care for recipients? I do think from an advocacy perspective, it is still looking at, it's making sure that you can kind of look at a particular matter, even if you're sitting in a corporate office, and always maintaining the human behind each issue that you're advising on. Governance and risk is so underdone in community organisations generally, and particularly not-for-profits, mainly because they don't have a lot of money to invest in governance and risk functions. And it's not to say that they're not expensive, it's just that the value can be difficult to see in the first instance. So it's going, governance, risk assurance, it all helps good decision making. It makes us more transparent. It makes us more committed to our stakeholders, whoever that is, whether that's our employees, our recipients, our funders, the community members. It's such an essential piece to making sure that we are doing all the things that are expected of us, and that's actually inherent in who we are as a charitable organisation. That's part of our role and function. So not a lot of organisations do invest in that, and that might be the case for smaller organisations, but when you get to the point of Selectability size and scale, it's really difficult not to have a good functioning governance and assurance function. And I think that's one of the really great things about Selectability is they have recognised that need in the journey. We actually need to be more accountable for what we're doing here, and we need to be more transparent, and we need to make sure that we are really clear about the impact and how we're delivering against stakeholder expectations. And the best way to do that is good governance structures, good risk management, and making sure that we've got good embedded frameworks. So, and selectability in particular, I've acknowledged that that actually needs to be an executive role, and that needs a seat at the table when we make really big decisions. And so ultimately that will be the thing that pulls the organisation towards the maturity that it needs to reach, and truly embed all the value that governance risk assurance can provide.
Good try.